where you have people very adept at using firearms, of which you have many. And it would be teachers and coaches. If the coach had a firearm in his locker when he ran at this guy, that coach was very brave. Saved a lot of lives, I suspect. But if he had a firearm, he wouldn't have had to run. He would have shot, and that would have been the end of it. And this would only be, obviously, for people that are very adept at handling a gun. And it would be, it's called concealed carry, where a teacher would have a concealed gun on them. They'd go for special training, and they would be there, and you would no longer have a gun-free zone. Gun-free zone to a maniac, because they're all cowards. A gun-free zone is let's go in and let's attack. Does anybody like it? Right? Yes? For Meadow, your beautiful Meadow. We talked about that. And do people feel strongly against it? Anybody? Anybody? Strongly against it? All right. I mean, look, we can understand both sides of it. And certainly it's controversial. But
Donald Trump can't go a single day without being mentioned in the news, and many times it is his own doing. But the media does have to take its share of the blame. Now, with that being said, what did Donald do this time around? Well, let's just break some news. I want to go ahead and welcome everybody to TLE News, the Lyrical Allegiance. I'm your host, Hassan Labduni, aka The Real Stevie B. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, welcome to TLE Radio. What we're going to talk about today is Donald Trump's proposition of arming teachers, and why or why not that is such a great flipping idea. Now, well, Donald Trump recently came under fire for suggesting that the solution to the gun problem in the schools is more guns. Specifically, let's go ahead and arm teachers. Let's go ahead and just pack them to the hilt. Let's get a bunch of Bruce Willises up in there and let's get going. A couple of Lara Croft, Tomb Raiders, some Angelina Jolie from Wanted, and, whatever else. Just throw some more guns in the mix. But anyway, as far as with the whole arming teachers, there are many reasons why arming teachers isn't the clear-cut answer or response that we need at this time. From the countless stories that we've heard of teachers and educators being sexually or romantically involved with the students, to teacher differences that aren't being settled professionally or quietly or in a nice manner or amicable manner, they get to fight and then going carrying on. All these kind of stories that we hear all the time, just a simple Google search will show you in the news, and show you various news clips of teachers from around the country doing heinous things. And now you want to go ahead and give them guns on top of that because you claim they're going to be only the best teachers that get the guns. But okay. Giving potentially more nutty people guns to combat gun violence is just a recipe for a descent into anarchy and chaos. Because now, not only, let's think about it for example. Not only do we have teachers that don't know how to act, we have students that don't know how to act. Now, students that don't know how to act know that teachers packing. They may find a way to go ahead and slip the teacher the okey doke, and they're gonna be the ones packing. I mean, there's just too much can go wrong for this to be a solution. But anyway, Donald Trump, famous for being Donald Trump, what does he do after coming under fire? Trump doubles down. Trump did what any self-respecting adult president would do. He doubled down on his idea and gave reasoning supporting his standpoint. And I got to make sure this thing is still going. All right, cool. He had to double down on his standpoint and make sure that, he had to give reasoning for it. Now, in pandering to the dumbest of the veterans, not all veterans are dumb, but in pandering to the dumbest, most quote-unquote patriotic veterans who have no sense of logic whatsoever. So, these are the ones that were jarheads. These are the ones that were freaking out on the front line, just do whatever they say and don't ask questions. The grunts, the grunt works. Now, the dumbest of the grunts with a show, pandering to these grunts with a show of respect and honor, Trump suggested that these veterans turned teachers could be armed because of their service experience. He also mentioned that only the best teachers would be armed and rambled various standard bullet points about, how the teachers would be considered for, or actually, awarded for being a carrier of a weapon during school hours. Anyway, now we already know anything out of Donald Trump's mouth may sound or could sound promising. It could sound like a good idea, and it could be very encouraging. But what time has shown, time and time again, is that Donald Trump stands by nothing he says, which is something that he has come out and say. He doesn't stand by anything. So now, in theory, he may spew out a bunch of gems, but herein lies the problem. If you're going to spew out a bunch of gems, but you don't mean any of it, you're just talking. The talk is just talk, and it means nothing for the rest of the world. Now, starting with these veterans, how many veterans do we know are teachers? What is the distribution of these veteran-turned teachers among the public school system nationwide? High school, middle school, elementary school? Do the alternative schools and vocational schools get it too? All these questions arise when it comes to arming teachers, especially veteran-turned teachers. And we got to go ahead and dig through this mess to really figure out how this would be implemented. Now, in 2014, the Veterans Administration, or the VA, reported that 22 million Americans were veterans. That figure was based on data they collected along with data from the Department of Defense, the United States Census Bureau, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration. Now, additionally, the DoD reported in 2015 1.4 million active military personnel. So combined, the figures add up to about 7.3% of Americans who have served in the military at any point in their adult lives. Cool, but how many veterans are turning teachers? Well, according to the USA Today report, education organizations don't track the number of veterans that go into teaching. However, Teach for America, TFA, which began in 1990 as a way to lure Ivy League and other top-tier college graduates into needy and urban rural schools, has seen a fourfold increase in military candidates since 2009. Now, last fall, its cadre of service members turned teachers grew to about 100. But, again, we still need a better picture of how many of these veterans are becoming teachers. How many of them are going into teaching? Another organization that transitions soldiers from the battlefield to the classroom is Troops to Teachers, TTT. Now, since being established in 1993, Troops to Teachers has turned out 20,000 teachers through both traditional and alternative routes to certification. Now 20,000, now we have a number we're starting to work with, 20,000. All right, cool. So TTT is just one organization that helps convert veterans into teachers. Now, further scouring of the internet revealed little else in regards to the number of teachers that were previously veterans. It's something that they haven't tracked. Now that they want to discuss it, maybe it's something that they want to look into. I'm just saying. Now, moving on to this very best comment that Donald Trump made. In his eyes, only the best teachers would be armed, right? In a perfect world, only the best teachers would be armed. Well, how do you qualify this best in this scenario? Are they decorated, awarded, credentialed teachers who display an exemplary proficiency with a sidearm? You have decorated, seasoned, and honored and well-recognized police officers who manage to bungle traffic stops, prisoner transport, in processing and booking, and the list goes on. So if cops can't do it correctly, we are now placing the onus on teachers to do it properly. All right, cool. Don't forget now. The best example that we have is that BSO deputy Scott Peterson, former BSO deputy Scott Peterson, who froze during an active shooter situation in Parkland, Florida. Was he not the best? Was he not trained? If not, then why did he have a gun? Why was trust placed in him with an instrument of life and death? Now, if a trained police officer failed to engage the shooter, why should it be expected to be the norm for a teacher, someone who took classes and got certified to teach, to engage in urban warfare? I mean, cops actually receive this extensive training on how to use their firearms, how to assess threats, how to de-escalate situations, and yet they still murder innocent civilians all the time. And we are expecting teachers to do the same. Now, we already know all these mass shootings that be happening at schools are white kids. And what we're going to do, we're going to use the white kids that are doing all these mass shooting to demonize black kids, because black kids are the ones that get disciplined the most in schools as it is anyway. But let's not go there. We don't want to go there. Not yet. Maybe in another video. Now, civilians are not allowed to discharge their weapons in public places except in the most extreme of circumstances, but cops are allowed to pop a cap in anything that frightens them. Now, a teacher will be able to do so as well. Breaking news, this just in, ladies and gentlemen. We are now getting reports from CNN that there's more than one BSO deputy in trouble from the Parkland shooting. Now, according to CNN, it's being reported that more than one BSO deputy did not enter the school during the Valentine's Day massacre in Parkland, Florida. CNN reports that 3 more deputies are also being implicated in their inaction to neutralize and engage Cruz, the Parkland shooter. Their actions reportedly shocked police from Coral Springs, who joined the sheriff's deputies soon after they arrived, reports Raw Story. So, again, we want to arm the teachers, right? The things we can't expect the cops to do, we want to go ahead and put the focus on the teachers. The things that 4 cops could not do, we want to put that on the teachers. We want to put it on people that are not trained to be dealing with that kind of situation. We want to put it on people that's not their focus to be dealing with that kind of situation. Their primary focus is to educate these children, but you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to train them to be gun-toting nuts. That's what we're going to do. So anything that jumps at them in the dark, they're going to go ahead and pull out a gun and bust a cap in its ass. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So let's go ahead and arm the teachers. Let's go ahead. I mean, what could go wrong? No, really. What could go wrong? So, again, adding more guns to the mix makes for a spicy meatball. Now, we do have a gun problem. Yes, we do. Throw more guns at the problem? I don't think that's the way to go. But hey, by this logic, if we have a gun problem, what we need to do is arm more employees at movie theaters so we don't have any more mass shooting at movie theaters. We need to employ more bartenders with guns and bodyguards with guns at clubs so there's no shooting at nightclubs, patrons and at concerts and more. We need more guns, and more guns. So, one side note. Once again, only the best teachers would be armed. Now, what does that say for the law enforcement? It's well documented in multiple news outlets that police regularly turn away their best and brightest and settle for the easily manipulated. But they get to carry guns, though. Right? Anyway, that's just our take here at the Lyrical Elitist on the concept of throwing more guns in the mix. We're not saying banning guns, but throwing more guns in the mix seems hardly the answer to us here at the Lyrical Elitist. If you have a different opinion, feel free to drop it in the comment box. You agree with what I say? Let me know. If you feel what I'm saying, like, share, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let other people see and say, hey, this guy is making sense as far as when it comes to this gun-toting argument and arming teachers. Let me know. Let your friends know how you feel about this. And let your congressmen know. Let your representatives know. Even if they don't care. The kids went up to Tallahassee, stood before them, and they turned them away. They didn't care. They didn't care. They're not here to work for us. They don't give 2 shits about us. But hey, as long as you act out in symbolism, the symbol of your protest should be enough to create change. Right? Anyway, I'm your host, Hassan Labdouni. This is Lyrical Elitist, TLE TV, TLE News. If you listen again on Blog Talk Radio, this is TLE Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you visit our website, www.thelyricalelitist.com. Again, I'm your host, Hassan Labdouni, a.k.a. The Real Stevie B. Y'all have a wonderful day. Holla!